Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you real plain today. 2026 is not the year you explain yourself to everybody. It's not the year you announce your plans, argue with doubters, or try to prove your worth to people who don't believe in you anyway. 2026 is the year you focus on yourself and stay silent. Because silence, my friends, is not weakness. Silence is power. See, most people lose not because they lack talent, but because they talk too much. They tell everybody what they're about to do before they've done anything. And the moment you speak it out loud to the wrong people, you invite opinions, doubts, jealousy, and negativity into something that hasn't even had time to grow yet. Some dreams die in conversation before they ever get a chance to live. That's why in 2026, you don't need applause at the beginning. You need discipline in private. I've learned something in life. When you focus on yourself, your life gets quieter. And when your life gets quieter, your vision gets clearer. You stop reacting to everything. You stop explaining yourself. You stop responding to nonsense. And you start moving with purpose. The strongest people in the room are usually the quiet ones because they're busy building, not talking. You don't owe anybody an explanation for your growth. You don't need permission to level up. And you definitely don't need validation to become who God created you to be. When you stay silent, you conserve energy. And energy is currency. Every argument you avoid, every unnecessary conversation you skip, every distraction you cut off, that energy goes back into you. That's how you grow. See, focusing on yourself means you finally get honest with yourself. You stop blaming people. You stop blaming the past. You stop blaming circumstances. You take full responsibility for where you are and where you're going. That's not easy, but it's powerful, because the moment you accept responsibility, you take back control. And control is where confidence is born. Most people never reach their true potential not because they lack ability, intelligence, or opportunity, but because they are constantly distracted by the noise around them. They spend too much time seeking approval, reacting to opinions, and explaining themselves to people who were never meant to understand their journey in the first place. When you focus on yourself, you make a powerful decision to step away from that noise and turn your attention inward, where real change begins. Growth requires concentration, and concentration is impossible when your energy is scattered across too many voices. Focusing on yourself means becoming deeply aware of your own habits, thoughts, and patterns. It forces you to face uncomfortable truths about where you are falling short and where you are wasting time. This kind of self-awareness is not glamorous and it does not come with applause, but it is the foundation of real progress. When you stop pointing fingers and start asking honest questions about your own behavior, you gain control. Control over your time, control over your reactions, and control over the direction of your life. That control is what separates people who stay stuck from people who move forward. Staying silent is a critical part of this process because silence protects your focus. Every time you talk too much about your plans, you invite unnecessary feedback. Some of it will come from doubt, some from jealousy, and some from people who project their own limitations onto you. Even well-meaning advice can weaken your resolve if it causes you to second-guess yourself. Silence creates a safe space where your goals can grow without interference. It allows you to work without pressure and improve without being judged at every step. When you focus on yourself in silence, you begin to understand the value of discipline. Motivation is emotional and temporary, but discipline is steady and reliable. Discipline does not need an audience. It shows up whether you feel inspired or not. It pushes you to wake up early, stay consistent, and do the work even when no one is watching. This quiet consistency builds confidence, not the kind that comes from praise, but the kind that comes from knowing you can rely on yourself. That self-trust is unshakable. Silence also teaches patience, which is essential for long-term success. In a world that rewards instant results and constant updates, patience feels outdated. But real growth takes time, and time requires patience. When you stop announcing every move, you stop rushing the process, you allow yourself to develop skills fully, make mistakes privately, and learn without embarrassment. This patience keeps you grounded and prevents burnout because you are no longer chasing external validation. Another powerful benefit of focusing on yourself is the end of constant comparison. Comparison is a thief of peace and a major source of insecurity. When you are focused on others, you measure your progress against timelines that are not yours. Silence removes you from that race. You stop asking why someone else is ahead and start asking whether you are improving. Progress becomes personal instead of competitive. Your only goal becomes being better than who you were yesterday, not better than someone else today. As you grow in silence, your priorities begin to shift. You start valuing peace over attention and progress over praise. You become selective with your time and careful with your energy. You realize that not every battle deserves a response, and not every opinion deserves space in your mind. This selectiveness is not arrogance, it is maturity. It is the understanding that your energy is limited and should be invested where it produces growth. Focusing on yourself also strengthens emotional control. When you are not constantly reacting to others, you gain the ability to respond thoughtfully or not respond at all. This emotional stability keeps you calm under pressure and clear in decision-making. Instead of being pulled into drama or negativity, you remain centered on your goals. Over time, this calm presence becomes one of your greatest strengths. Eventually, the results of your focus and silence begin to show. People may not know what you have been doing, but they will see the difference. Your confidence will be quieter but stronger. Your actions will be more deliberate. Your progress will be undeniable. By the time others notice, you will already be far ahead, not because you talked less, but because you worked more and stayed committed to your own path. Most people underestimate how much damage constant talking and seeking validation can do to their progress. When you focus on yourself and choose silence, you create a powerful boundary between your inner world and outside noise. That boundary is where clarity is born. Instead of reacting to every comment, opinion, or expectation, you begin to act from intention. Your decisions become rooted in purpose rather than emotion. This shift alone can change the direction of your entire life, because energy that was once wasted on explanations is now invested in execution. Focusing on yourself requires courage, because it means standing alone at times. You will not always be understood, and you will not always be supported. Silence can make people uncomfortable, especially those who are used to having access to your thoughts and plans. But discomfort is often a sign of growth. When you stop explaining yourself, you stop negotiating your worth. You accept that not everyone needs to understand you, and that understanding is not a requirement for success. This mindset frees you from the burden of pleasing others. Staying silent also sharpens your vision. When you are not constantly talking, you have more space to think. Deep thinking leads to better planning, and better planning leads to stronger outcomes. You begin to see patterns in your behavior, recognize distractions more quickly, and identify what truly matters. Silence allows you to listen to yourself, to your instincts, and to the quiet signals life sends when you slow down enough to notice them. This inner listening is what helps you make aligned choices rather than impulsive ones. As you focus inward, discipline becomes your anchor. Discipline is not loud or flashy. It is built through repeated, often boring actions done consistently over time. When you stay silent, you remove the pressure to perform for others, which makes it easier to commit to discipline. You are no longer working for praise or recognition, you are working for progress. This internal motivation is far more sustainable because it does not depend on anyone else's reaction. Another powerful outcome of focusing on yourself is emotional independence. You stop allowing other people's opinions to dictate how you feel about your efforts. Praise does not inflate you, and criticism does not destroy you. This balance creates emotional strength. You become steady, grounded, and resilient. When challenges arise, you are able to face them without panic because your confidence is built on preparation, not approval. Silence also changes how you respond to negativity. Instead of defending yourself or engaging in arguments, you conserve your energy. You understand that not every misunderstanding needs correction, and not every insult needs a reply. This restraint is a form of self-respect. It shows that you value your peace more than winning temporary battles. Over time, this approach reduces stress and keeps your focus on long-term goals instead of short-term reactions. Focusing on yourself naturally leads to better boundaries. You become more selective about who you allow into your space and what you give your time to. This is not about isolation, but about intention. When your circle becomes smaller, your progress often becomes faster. You spend less time being pulled in different directions and more time moving forward. Boundaries protect your growth, especially during seasons when you are building something important. As your focus deepens, comparison begins to fade. You stop measuring your success against others and start measuring it against your own potential. This shift brings peace because you are no longer in competition with timelines that are not yours. You understand that growth is personal and that progress looks different for everyone. This acceptance allows you to move at your own pace without feeling behind or pressured. Over time, the quiet work you are doing starts to reshape your identity. You become more confident, not because you are louder, but because you are clearer. You know what you want, why you want it, and what you are willing to sacrifice to achieve it. This clarity makes your actions more powerful and your presence more impactful, even without words. When people eventually notice your growth, it will not be because you announced it. It will be because your results speak for themselves. Your silence will have protected your journey, and your focus will have carried you further than noise ever could. Discipline is the quiet force that carries you forward when motivation disappears. And that is why it is one of the most important habits you can build when you decide to focus on yourself and stay silent. Motivation is emotional. It comes and goes based on how you feel, what you see, and what others say. Some days you wake up inspired, other days you feel tired, doubtful, or overwhelmed. If your progress depends on motivation, your growth will always be inconsistent. Discipline, on the other hand, does not ask how you feel. It asks what needs to be done, and then it pushes you to do it anyway. When you choose discipline, you stop waiting for the perfect mood or the right moment. You understand that progress is built on ordinary days, not extraordinary ones. Most of life is routine, and discipline teaches you how to win in that routine. It trains you to show up when no one is watching, when there is no applause, and when the results are not yet visible. This is where silence becomes powerful, because discipline does not need to be announced. It grows stronger in private through repetition and commitment. Staying silent while practicing discipline protects you from unnecessary pressure. When you talk too much about your goals, you create expectations that can become heavy. People start watching, questioning, and judging your progress. This can lead to stress and self-doubt, especially when results take time. Silence removes that weight. It allows you to move at your own pace, to fail privately, and to improve without fear of embarrassment. Discipline thrives in this quiet environment because it is free from distraction and comparison. Discipline also builds self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you strengthen trust in your own ability. Waking up early, sticking to a routine, practicing a skill, or avoiding distractions may not seem impressive to others, but they are powerful acts of self-leadership. Over time, these small disciplined actions create a strong foundation. You begin to believe in yourself, not because of words, but because of evidence. You have proof that you can rely on yourself, and that confidence is unshakable. Another important aspect of discipline is that it simplifies decision-making. When you are disciplined, you do not constantly debate with yourself about what to do. Your habits decide for you. This reduces mental fatigue and keeps you focused. Instead of wasting energy on choices, you direct that energy into execution. Silence supports this process by keeping your mind clear. Without constant noise from opinions and distractions, it becomes easier to stay committed to your routine. Discipline also teaches delayed gratification, a skill many people struggle with. In a world that rewards instant pleasure, discipline trains you to choose long-term rewards over short-term comfort. It asks you to sacrifice comfort today for growth tomorrow. This might mean working while others rest, learning while others scroll, or staying consistent when others quit. These choices are rarely celebrated in the moment, but they compound over time. Silence helps you stay focused on this long-term vision rather than seeking immediate validation. As discipline becomes part of your identity, your behavior changes. You stop making excuses and start taking responsibility. You understand that progress is not about intensity, but consistency. You no longer rely on external motivation because your habits carry you forward even on difficult days. This makes you resilient. Challenges do not stop you, they test you. And each test you pass strengthens your discipline even more. Focusing on discipline also changes how you handle setbacks. Instead of quitting or complaining, you adjust and continue. Discipline does not demand perfection, it demands persistence. Silence during setbacks allows you to reflect instead of react. You learn from mistakes without announcing them to the world. This quiet reflection helps you grow smarter and stronger with each obstacle. Over time, discipline reshapes your life in visible ways. Your skills improve, your mindset sharpens, and your confidence deepens. People may not know the hours you put in or the struggles you faced, but they will see the results. And those results will come not from loud promises or temporary motivation, but from steady discipline practiced in silence. One of the most powerful shifts you can make when you decide to focus on yourself and stay silent is learning how to distance yourself from distractions and negativity. Distractions do not always come in obvious forms. Sometimes they appear as harmless conversations, endless scrolling, unnecessary debates, or people who constantly pull your attention away from what truly matters. Negativity often disguises itself as concern, advice, or humor, but its impact is the same. It drains your energy and clouds your focus. When you are serious about growth, you begin to recognize that not everything deserves your attention. Distance is not about arrogance or cutting people off without reason. It is about awareness. You start noticing which environments make you feel drained and which ones help you grow. You become conscious of how certain conversations leave you doubting yourself, while others inspire you to do better. By choosing silence, you avoid engaging in discussions that do not move you forward. You stop explaining your goals to people who do not support them, and you stop defending your choices to those who never understood your vision. This distance creates space for clarity and progress. Negativity is especially dangerous because it spreads quietly. Spending too much time around people who complain, criticize, or doubt can slowly shape your own mindset. Even if you start off confident, constant exposure to negativity can weaken your belief over time. When you stay silent and focused on yourself, you reduce this exposure. You limit how much negativity enters your mental space. This protection is essential because your mindset determines how you respond to challenges and opportunities. Distractions also steal time, and time is one of your most valuable resources. Every moment spent on something unproductive is a moment taken away from your growth. When you distance yourself from distractions, you regain control of your schedule. You become intentional about how you spend your hours. This might mean saying no to invitations, limiting social media, or stepping away from environments that encourage laziness or chaos. These choices may feel uncomfortable at first, but they are necessary for progress. Silence plays a key role in creating this distance. When you are quiet, you are less available to be pulled into unnecessary situations. You do not feel the need to respond to every message or comment. You choose when and where to engage. This selective communication allows you to protect your focus. It also teaches others to respect your boundaries, even if they do not fully understand them. As you distance yourself from distractions, your productivity increases. You begin to notice how much mental energy was previously wasted on things that did not matter. With fewer interruptions, you can dive deeper into your work, improve your skills, and make meaningful progress. This deep focus leads to higher quality results, which builds confidence and momentum. Progress becomes easier because your energy is no longer scattered. Letting go of negativity also strengthens your emotional stability. You stop reacting to criticism or doubt because you are no longer constantly exposed to it. This emotional control helps you stay calm under pressure and focus during challenges. Instead of being influenced by external noise, you rely on your inner direction. This independence is empowering and allows you to move forward with confidence. Distancing yourself from distractions does not mean you become isolated or disconnected from the world. It means you become intentional about your connections. You prioritize relationships that support your growth and limit those that drain you. This balance creates a healthier environment for success. You learn that quality matters more than quantity, especially when it comes to people and information. Over time, this distance transforms your life. You begin to move with purpose instead of reacting to everything around you. Your mind becomes clearer, your goals sharper, and your actions more deliberate. Others may not notice the quiet changes happening within you, but those changes are powerful. By staying silent and distancing yourself from distractions and negativity, you create the conditions necessary for real, lasting growth. Consistency in private is one of the most overlooked yet powerful forces behind success. Most people want visible progress, public recognition, and quick results, but they underestimate the importance of what happens when no one is watching. Focusing on yourself means committing to the work even when there is no audience. Staying silent allows you to build this consistency without pressure, comparison, or distraction. In private, habits are formed, skills are sharpened, and character is developed. Private consistency teaches you how to rely on process rather than praise. When you are not performing for others, your motivation becomes internal. You show up because it aligns with your goals, not because someone is expecting an update. This builds a deeper level of commitment. You stop needing encouragement from the outside because your routine becomes your source of stability. Over time, this quiet dedication creates momentum that is hard to break. When you work consistently in private, you give yourself permission to learn without fear. Mistakes are no longer embarrassing, they are part of growth. You can experiment, fail, adjust, and improve without worrying about how it looks to others. This freedom accelerates learning. Silence protects this learning process by removing judgment and allowing you to focus fully on improvement rather than appearance. Consistency also strengthens patience. Results rarely appear immediately, and without patience, it is easy to quit too soon. Private effort teaches you to trust the process. You learn to measure progress in small improvements rather than dramatic outcomes. Each repetition, each practice session, and each disciplined choice adds up, even when the progress is invisible at first. This understanding keeps you going during slow periods. Another benefit of private consistency is the development of mental toughness. When no one is watching, excuses are easier to make. Choosing to stay consistent despite this builds resilience. You learn to push through boredom, doubt, and fatigue. This toughness becomes part of your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, which boosts confidence and self-respect. Silence enhances this process by reducing external pressure. When you announce your goals publicly, you create expectations that can become stressful. Private consistency removes this stress. You are free to move at your own pace, adjust your approach, and take breaks when needed without explaining yourself. This flexibility makes consistency sustainable rather than overwhelming. As consistency becomes a habit, it spills into every area of your life. Your routines become more structured, your time management improves, and your priorities become clearer. You start making decisions that support long-term growth rather than short-term comfort. This alignment creates balance and reduces inner conflict, making it easier to stay committed. Private consistency also builds quiet confidence. This confidence does not come from compliments or attention, but from knowing the effort you have invested. You walk differently when you know you have been doing the work. You speak less, but with more intention. You are not seeking validation because your progress speaks to you first. This internal confidence is stable and does not fluctuate with others' opinions. Over time, the results of private consistency become visible. People may be surprised by your progress because they did not see the work behind it. What looks like sudden success is actually the result of sustained effort over time. Your silence protected your focus, and your consistency built the foundation. This is how long-term success is created, not in moments of attention, but in hours of quiet dedication. Letting your results speak louder than explanations is one of the most powerful principles you can live by when you choose to focus on yourself and stay silent. Many people feel the need to constantly explain their choices, defend their decisions, or justify their pace. This habit often comes from insecurity or the desire to be understood. But true confidence does not argue, it demonstrates. When you stop explaining and start executing, you shift your energy from words to action, and that shift changes everything. Explanations rarely change minds. People usually interpret your words through their own beliefs, fears, and limitations. No matter how clearly you explain your vision, some will still doubt you. When you accept this, you free yourself from the exhausting cycle of trying to convince others. Silence becomes a strategy, not a weakness. It allows you to move forward without dragging the weight of other people's opinions behind you. Focusing on results forces you to become accountable. Words are easy, but results require effort, patience, and sacrifice. When you commit to letting your actions speak, you raise your own standards. You stop making promises you cannot keep and stop seeking sympathy for unfinished work. Instead, you concentrate on progress. This mindset creates integrity because your life begins to align with what you claim to value. Staying silent also protects your momentum. Every time you pause to explain yourself, you lose focus. You get pulled into debates, comparisons, and emotional reactions that slow you down. By choosing silence, you conserve mental energy. That energy can then be invested in learning, improving, and refining your skills. Over time, this focus compounds, leading to steady and meaningful progress. When you let results speak, you also develop patience. Results take time, and silence teaches you to sit with that reality without becoming anxious. You learn to trust the process, even when there is no immediate evidence of success. This patience strengthens your resilience. Instead of quitting or overreacting, you continue working quietly, knowing that consistent effort eventually produces visible outcomes. Another important aspect of this approach is humility. Silence keeps your ego in check. You are not boasting or exaggerating your progress. You are allowing your work to stand on its own. This humility makes your success more respected when it finally appears. People tend to trust results they can see rather than promises they have heard. Quiet success often carries more weight than loud ambition. Letting results speak also improves your relationships. When you stop explaining yourself, you reduce conflict. You are no longer trying to prove your worth or defend your choices. This creates healthier dynamics because your actions communicate your values more clearly than words ever could. Those who support you will recognize your effort, and those who doubt you will eventually have nothing left to say. This mindset also strengthens your inner peace. Constantly explaining yourself keeps you mentally tied to other people's opinions. Silence cuts that tie. You become more present, more focused, and more grounded. Your sense of worth becomes internal rather than external. This inner stability makes you harder to shake and easier to trust yourself. Over time, the impact of letting results speak becomes undeniable. Your progress becomes visible, your confidence grows naturally, and your presence becomes stronger. You no longer need to announce your growth or defend your journey. Your life tells the story for you. By focusing on yourself, staying silent, and committing to real results, you build a form of success that is quiet, powerful, and lasting.